Welcome, everyone. As you're aware, research on ALS is continuously progressing. At Everything ALS, we are dedicated to uncovering new discoveries, aiding in early detection, and working towards finding a cure for ALS. You can assist us by participating in our speech study. The purpose of the speech study is to enhance the diagnosis and prognosis of ALS. We are currently seeking participants to provide 5 speech recordings, each lasting 15 minutes, once a month over 5 months. We welcome healthy participants, as well as individuals diagnosed or probable with ALS to join us. To enroll, please visit everythingals.org speech project and fill out the form. Thank you. You'll find that email address in our chat. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Indu.
Thank you. Thank you, McFinn. And what a great joy for me to join here today because, we always say our shareholders, our stakeholders are you guys. Like, you are the people that we report to really, because this is, again, what we have as citizen-driven research. So this is our proud moment to tell you what we have been working on and the progress we've made. So I know we always host these events, but beyond that, all the data that you guys share with us, all the research you guys get involved, this is your place today to ask us questions, and you hold us accountable. You tell us, what your thoughts are, and also ask us questions. Don't shy away. So this is something we want to learn together. So with that, I'm going to start the presentation. So this is about the insights on care to cure. As we say, if we don't care about the people who are going through the journey, people with ALS and the caregivers and the families, will never get to cure. So our goal is to integrate both, and we'll take you behind the scenes with our Everything ALS team today. So, so the platform we have built in the past 2 years is very unique. It's unique because we have been able to bring the community, Everything ALS community. Today, we have over 7,000 families who are involved in our community, who come to the events. That's how many people have attended the events. And we have about 500,000 people from 60 countries who actually watch all of the events that we put together, all of the talk we put together on our YouTube channel. And the data that we have, like all of you who have participated in speech, Radcliffe study, or ECAS, all that data is, as you know, is shared back with you. Also, that is behind the scene, all the neurologists that we work with and our data science team, who are our AI engineers, and also our software engineers are actually working on it. We are making sure that data is consumable, it's cleaned, and it's, what is the algorithm? We need to figure out the subtypes, the endpoint, all of the things that we said we're working on. And we have about 12 pharma companies who have joined us in hand, so we can help them get better drugs to market and also accelerate their clinical trials, clinical trial recruitment, also come up with measurements during the trial. As we all know, the issue of ALSFRS is objective measure. We need to come up with subjective measure. And also we work with FDA and Critical Path Institute very, very closely to bring this to market, to actually have this in clinical trial. You'll be pleased to hear that we are one of the companies. We are already monitoring their expanded access. And there is one company, we're already analyzing their clinical trials data. And there's another company which is launching 600 people study. And we are in the midst of working with them to monitor their trial to bring our clinical trials. Our clinical measurements. So who are the people? we're about 30 people who actually work on this, or over 30 people. So if I have to say who are the people, behind the scene, you have our board members. These board members are really have built very successful companies. Our chairman is Bill Nudi. He used to be the chairman of Fortune 500 company called NCR. He has been diagnosed with ALS. He works tremendously day in and day out. And we have Emmett Cunningham. He was a partner at Blackstone Ventures. Phil Riley is a neurologist and was a lawyer and very, very successful. He's a VC. And Jerry Newman, he is actually, I've known him for over 20 years. He comes from running a healthcare fund. And then we have Willie Stiglbaut, who is actually very successfully sold his tech company. So we continue to build our board, and our student ambassadors. Our student ambassadors are, again, work relentlessly behind the scene, working with you people, with the people with ALS, collecting the data. If somebody has got issues, or, we have these projects, they go in and work on the data projects. They work on they really will do anything to set up calendaring, to helping us with the data. And then we have our operations and vision team that includes me, and I'll have my team introduce themselves very quickly. And before I go there, I have software engineering team. We are about 8 in the software engineering team. They are located in India, and some of them are in the US. And then we have our scientific team, which includes both the neurology and also our data science team. And every Thursday, religiously, we all meet and we go through what we found last week and what we're going to do next week. This is this is not about presenting, it's about working together. So this is where we have breakthroughs, because we are working, and this is our data science team, which I'll ask you to introduce. Our scientific advisors are, as you guys know already, Merit Sakovic from MGH, James Berry from MGH, Lyle Ostro from Temple, and Ernest Frankel. They give enormous amount of their time. They volunteer, and so is student ambassadors volunteer, board members are volunteering. And let me introduce our data science team and my operations team. And then we have, very special group that today I would like to introduce. With that, I'm going to invite my team to actually introduce themselves. Steffi and Christian.
All right, I'm going to go first. I'm the one who sits on all the crossroads from expertise, but I do the heavy lifting in the clinical ops, meaning designing all those trials, but making sure that every stakeholder really is set up for success, because by trade, I'm both a physician and also a designer. And I'm turning over to my second in command, the one who really runs clinical ops, Sylvia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sylvia. I'm the research manager here at EverythingALS. If you're ever joining a research study, the person in the background running it is me. Regarding the speech study, Radcliffe, and many more that we have. It's great to see you guys all, and I'm really excited being with the team. I'm going to turn it over to Natalia.
Hi, everyone. I'm relatively new to the team, though I worked with many of the team members before. I do a bit of everything, but I come from both research neuroscience background and general healthcare background. So I try to do a bit of everything and learn and see where my place will be within the team. And I'm turning it to Christian.
Hi, everybody. Christian Rubio. I think some of you may know me already from many of these presentations and our expert talks. I work closely with Indu and Steffi, especially on kind of the high level strategy of the organization when it comes to engaging industry, our pharma relations, and I had development there, and also our strategic partnerships, as we're constantly trying to grow our ecosystem of different types of technologies and make sure that we're not just kind of testing things out, we're actually educating both industry and even the regulators about what it's going to take and how we're going to get there to make sure that these technologies and these experiences that really make studies and even your care much more accessible make their way into kind of everyday medicine in ALS. So great to work with every one of you.
And Sarita, who holds us all together, you're next.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. So great to see you all every 2 weeks. Some of you may already know me on these expert talks. I joined EverythingALS about 4 months ago as Chief of Staff and Program Manager. So trying to keep and also do a little bit of HR operations. So that is my role with EverythingALS. It's great, and it's been a great experience here so far. Thank you.
I would like to invite our data science team lead, Julian.
Thanks, Sindhu. Hello, everybody. I am Julian Peller. I'm the lead data scientist at EverythingALS. I lead a team of 7 researchers, most of us from and located in Argentina, as the slide shown. And it's great to be here today with you. Now, in a few moments, I will share some of our achievements and the next steps in our quest. And I think from my team, I have Alan Tights as well, and Gaston present if you want to.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I have met some of you. I am also a data scientist. I work under Julian's leadership, an expert in speech analytics. And also my background is in neuroscience and motor functioning of the vocal tract. I am very happy to work with this incredible team. I will let Gaston introduce himself.
And I just want to tell a story here. Actually, I ran into Alan in a gym area, and we were in Palo Alto. This was COVID times, and he heard me say to somebody, "Oh, we're actually running a speech study in ALS. We just started." He came over, he spoke to me. He was at Stanford Research Institute at that point, and we, started talking. And he said, "I want to work with you guys." And that led to the whole data science team. So I just want you guys to know that there is so much about energy in this team, how they're volunteering, they want to solve these issues, solve this disease. So that's how, the whole team came together. So Alan went back to Argentina and got everybody engaged. So anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. I'm Gaston Mujia, also from Buenos Aires. I just recently joined the team here of data science in EverythingALS. My background is I am a mathematician, and I also come from neuroscience and computer science research. So this is just a really interesting thing to see if we can help and we can provide any insights and do a positive change for good. So it's a pleasure to be here for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Gaston.
So you may have noticed that we have not really pointed out one big team right in the core of us, which are the Pathfinders. And I would like to get McFinn to introduce his flock.
Thank you very much. Folks, the Pathfinders were formed because we need to show everybody that if you have ALS, you have more to offer than the disease. You have everything that you've learned doing it. So we formed a group of people called the Pathfinders, and they have ALS, and some of them do not have ALS. Today, we're going to introduce you to these people who in the future you can contact through our app. You can look us up on our website, check out our bios, and see which one of us you might like to share time with. So let me introduce them. Sean, would you please come aboard?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Penno. I live in the North Okanagan, which is in BC, up north in Canada. I've been diagnosed with ALS back in September of last year, and I've been working in healthcare for about 25 years now. So on one hand, I work in the industry helping people like yourselves who have ALS, but now I have ALS, so I'm becoming the patient as well. So I'm sort of learning both sides of that equation, and I love sharing my experiences with people I work with, as well as now all of you as my family. I want to be able to help anybody who might need an ear to listen to, or a shoulder to cry on, or advice on how to set something up. But I'm here and willing to talk to anyone who needs some advice. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Sean. Hello, Faith. Come aboard.
Just let me know if you could hear me because my video
Perfectly.
is apparently not working.
No, you're just great.
Okay, awesome. Well, hello, everyone. I'm sorry that you can't meet me, but you know, technical difficulties arise in this world and we have to deal with it. So my name is Faith Orumland, and I began volunteering with Everything ALS after hearing McFinn talk about how important it is to connect with each other through compassion and love. I'm on this ALS journey with all of you because my younger son was diagnosed with ALS in January of 2022. And like many of you, my life has never been the same since that day. I've chosen to give as much as I can to help not only my son, but everyone touched by this insidious disease. The pals, the caregivers, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters. We're on this journey together, and I'm committed to being here to provide support in whatever way necessary to make this journey just a little bit easier for all of us together. You are not alone, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I appreciate the opportunity to work with McFinn and the Pathfinders team and everyone at Everything ALS. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. Janie Gobelli. Hi, Janie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Gobelli, and I'm very proud and excited to be here. You have become my second family on Wednesday nights, and I remember the first time I joined, I was, shy and nervous, and, McFinn pulled me right in, your red hair, your smile, makes everybody feel very comfortable and a part of a family. I've had ALS diagnosed in 2021. I started with the legs, and then it, moved up into my arms and my shoulders, and now it's affecting my airways. My husband's been phenomenal in trying different, adaptive equipment for me around the house. So I have a lot of advice for things that have worked or hasn't worked. So I've pretty much experienced quite a bit through this journey. But the biggest thing I can say is I've never faltered in positive attitude, my faith, having hope, and just gratitude. And I always want to inspire everyone else to also have hope. I think it's a very important part of our journey is to have that hope. And I would like to be able to guide you and help you in any way or means to give you that hope and inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Janie. Kathleen. Come aboard, Kathleen. Take yourself off mute.
Hi, I'm Kathleen McCallum, and I'm coming on board Pathfinders in support of everyone with ALS and their guides and their helpers. I was guided to help my friend Willard, who was diagnosed with ALS in 2022. And I asked him if he was interested in perhaps doing a documentary to help him navigate the steps that were needed to take with his ALS in a creative way. I've studied alternative medicine since the 80s, and I'm a microbiome nutritional coach. My goal here is to bring more hope from those suffering with this horrendous disease, more awareness, and let the world know that we need more warriors on this fight. If there's anything I can do to help you in your journey, please reach out to me at Kathleen@everythingals.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. My brother, Joe Redmond. Come aboard, Joe. Take yourself off mute.
My name is Joe Redmond, and these days I tend to live a very purpose-driven life. So I do what I can while I can. If I can make your journey on this path any easier, or if you have any questions, let me help you find the answers. My hope is to be the resource you need. And you can contact me at joe@everythingals.org.
Thank you, Joe. In fact, folks, you can contact any of us. I'm sorry I didn't say that up first, but just our first name at everythingals.org. And Willard is not here tonight. I am missing him. And I'm missing Mike Montemero. He's taking his son to vacation. Can't, dads and sons, they need vacations. And John Hudick, our other member of our Pathfinders, he's on vacation in Germany, but he will be back. And you will be able to, I would like you to go to our website and look up Pathfinders, and then you'll see a bio on each of us that is pretty interesting. And with that, I just want to say, don't hesitate to contact a Pathfinder. And if you feel that you would like to be a Pathfinder, we have plenty of room for you. So please contact me at mcfinn@everythingals.org if you would like to be a Pathfinder too. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. That was phenomenal, to go through this journey. And this is what makes me get up every day in the morning, because of people like you guys, and with that, let's really show it's all about action, right? What are we doing? Unless we can move the needle, everything is talk. We're not about talk. We walk the talk, right? So we will show you what we have done until now in the beginning of 2024, what we started with. And just as a refresher, I've got a video. This is end of the year video, but then we will walk you through what we have done in the last 6 months and what else we have to do collectively. Again, this is all of us. So can you hear the audio? Can you hear the audio?
Not yet.
I think
Usually kicks in though after the.
I have the honor of serving as the chairman of the board after founding Cure ALS and steering it into a merger with Everything ALS.
A disease where people might live 3 years, basically a third of their time is spent going to different doctors.
This is a clinical diagnosis. There's not a blood test that says you have ALS.
Digital biomarkers could be useful in two critical ways: tracking progression and early diagnosis.
What we know for sure is that this is a lot of different diseases. We know that we have to do the right treatments in the right patients. Everybody talks about collaborating and working together and sharing things. There's not a sort of an infrastructure that fosters that in a meaningful way.
The sheer number of people that are going to develop a neurodegenerative disease in the next 10 years is going to basically bankrupt our country. It's like extraordinary what's going on in ALS. We've never had so much going on in terms of therapies in development. Brain health is now kind of the hot topic in the neurosciences.
We're beginning to see that some of the biomarkers that we've worked on for many years are becoming useful in clinical trials.
We're reaching an inflection point for digital biomarkers. The sensor technology is already there. Consumer electronics routinely measure breathing, movement, and speech. If we can couple those technologies with the right analytics, we'll have a huge impact.
59-year-old Todd Kelly reciting speech that could help treat and cure ALS.
The problem with ALS, unlike many other diseases, is they can't find a biomarker. The biomarker is what you can see is affected by a treatment.
I participate in the Everything ALS speech study. You record your speech and you're videotaped while you're doing various exercises and recording your speech.
Please say peak.
I'm amazed at how many people have watched my recent ALS reversals research talk. More than 4,000 in just the 9 days since it was posted. This is really a testament to you and all the great work that you're doing there at Everything ALS. And I'm glad to be working with you.
So that was pretty much for where we started off this year. And I'm going to go back to my presentation.
And if you think last year was busy, heads up, this one is even more. And just to give a little bit of an overview, because it is about the research and the data, Sylvia is going to speak a little bit to, in overview, what it's really like to triple your research.
Agree. So,
and Indu has so many windows open right now that she doesn't find the presentation. Is that right?
No, actually I thought I was sharing.
Perfect.
I had the presentation on, but yeah, there you go. So let me invite Sylvia to speak to, some of the research.
Hi again, everyone. What has been growing dramatically in 2024, as Steffi said, is our research efforts. We've tripled the number of studies, and we're actually preparing for our first global trial support by the end of the year, which is very exciting. For our studies that we are what we call multimodal, which basically means that one sensor or data function or stream is included. Another thing that we have looked at is that we have extensive experience with sensors and data collection, and it has become very clear that the entire industry would benefit of a new approach, which is why we're preparing something called the Sensor Lab, where we look at feasibility testing and development, allowing to quickly assess and improve devices and user experience for testing within ALS. You can go to the next one. Perfect. Mm-hmm. The two studies listed, one more back.
Indu, you were too fast.
Sorry, yes.
No worries. The two studies listed on top are currently at the center of our data science team. The speech study is our longest ongoing study. And then the Radcliffe study is our first multimodal observational study with focus on speech, respiratory, gait, and cognition. And I just want to thank all of you who have been participating. Without you guys, we would not be running these studies. So thank you very much for your efforts. And I'll give it back to Indu.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's all about outcome. And the first output, as mentioned in a previous presentation we did with Lyle, is the listener effort. What's clinically meaningful about it is that, right, it's a new metric. Everybody else being able to understand you. It's meaningful to measure from the FDA side, but also from your care, from your managing your disease point of view. And we're developing an algorithm around that for disease progression. And for that, we're actually now pulling several data pools together. And what that is like is actually something that our data science team is going to do a deep dive into now.
So I invite our data science team and Julian to actually walk us through it.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. As we said before, I'm the data science lead for EverythingALS, and I will briefly tell you about our ongoing and future work with the data sets that the EverythingALS community has put together. The speech study, as Sylvia was saying, is currently the largest audio and video data set for speech tasks. It covers a broad geographic distribution in the US, and it's also the most diverse in existence. With EverythingALS's community-driven approach, the dataset also stands out due to the long-term participation and high frequency of sessions. Following our vision and mission to break research silos, this dataset is available for any research institution through our portal. I want to thank you again to all the participants of the study that are listening to this talk, as your recordings are essential to all the research that I will share in a few moments. What are we doing in the data science team? Our overarching objective right now is to find digital biomarkers. These are unique patterns and features in the audio and video data that provide valuable information about the disease, its nature, and its progression. We are applying various artificial intelligence and statistical techniques to analyze these speech tasks. Our first focus was speech. We have explored multiple dimensions over which we could identify progression with more anticipation and more detail than the question 1 of the ALS-FRSR. Dysarthria, the deterioration of speech, is a complex and multidimensional phenomenon that involves different mechanisms and could follow different patterns. For example, the first 2 charts that you are seeing show a person that experienced a reduction in their speaking rate without a loss of intelligibility, while these ones show a person in the opposite situation, loss in intelligibility without loss in the speaking rate. In contrast to this complex nature of dysarthria, ALS-FRSR, the established measure for ALS progression, has well-known limitations. In particular, regarding speech, it has only 1 question with only 5 possible values, lacking a good dynamic range and resolution for measurement. So, how can we measure dysarthria in a better way, given its complex nature? To address this question, we turned to our community again. This time, we thought the expertise of renowned specialists in the field of ALS and speech disorders, Dr. Jordan Green, Katie Siever, Donna Harris, and Amy Wright. Their knowledge in speech-language pathology and research methods was a fundamental piece in the puzzle of measuring dysarthria. Building on this expertise, we developed a web platform where the 3 SLPs rated audios based on their listener effort. Listener effort is a value between 0 and 100 that measures how hard it is for a listener to understand the speaker. And unlike intelligibility, listener effort captures the cognitive load, the brain squeeze that is required to comprehend the speech, and has been studied to capture multiple features of a speech, thus reflecting the multidimensional nature of dysarthria. Listener effort is also, as Steffi said, a clinically meaningful measure by construction. It directly impacts the quality of life of people living with ALS, as the ease with which they are understood plays an important role in their daily communication and overall well-being. Leveraging digital technology, we were able to achieve a significant amount of listener effort ratings in a very short period of time. Each of the 3 SLPs rated 2,500 recordings, resulting in a total of more than 7,500 ratings in less than 3 months. This is an incredible achievement in a very short period of time. After this collection of ratings of listener effort, during our data analysis, these ratings showed excellent inter-rater and intra-rater reliability. This means that the SLPs, when presented with the same audio, had the same assessment, both among themselves and each one with herself, even though the audios were blinded and randomized. These charts show how one SLP correlates with another, and a strong diagonal is a signal of good inter-rater agreement. Moreover, we observed that the SLPs maintained similar criteria when reconstructing trajectories of subjects, validating the consistency and robustness of this measure. Each of these charts show the trajectory of a subject, and each of the lines show a different SLP with the ratings, and you can see that they are in agreement. They overlap a lot. They are not entirely the same, but they have the same judgment about this measure. This measure is reproducible, and it's common to all the experts. Listener effort allows us to observe progression more smoothly and earlier compared to ALS-FRSR, providing a more detailed and timely understanding of the disease progression. In this chart, we can observe how the listener effort shows a smoother curve than the bulbar subscore of ALS-FRSR, and that it shows changes while the bulbar subscore stays constant at the beginning of the chart. This is another example, and these two are just examples, illustrative examples of a general finding in our dataset, speech study dataset rated by SLPs. To our delight, after struggling with the complexity of this data for an extended period of time, the results with listener effort were prolific. No matter how we examined it, we found intriguing and valuable information. And without going into too much detail, we discovered significant findings that are both clinically and scientifically relevant. For example, listener effort is an excellent separator of people with ALS and controls. It's also an excellent separator of people with bulbar onset and non-bulbar onset, both in long-term windows of time relevant for research and short-time windows of time relevant for clinical trials. We also found that regardless of the onset site, once bulbar symptoms begin, the rate of progression in listener effort is similar, validating important clinical intuitions of our advisors. This year, we submitted a paper summarizing all these findings to the journal Brain, and additionally, our colleagues from IBM, led by Kelly Norrell, submitted a collaborative work to the IEEE conference, where it was selected as the best paper of the conference. If you wish to learn in more detail about these findings that I'm sharing with you, you can search for these papers that are available online. Finally, another significant result was that we managed to create an extremely simple machine learning model based on very simple acoustic features that is very capable of reproducing listener effort accurately. This is, we could take this consensus expert assessment that has all these good properties and reproduce it with a simple and cheap machine learning model that's suitable for running in a computer or a device. Checking this item, the ability to reproduce it with software, listener effort has all the characteristics that we would like in a digital biomarker. It is objective, clinically meaningful, of high resolution, and reproducible. This type of measures can unlock clinical trials by providing reliable and frequent assessment, ultimately accelerating the development of effective treatments. Current approaches to ALS clinical trial endpoints like ALS-FRSR are often inaccurate, biased, costly, rely on patient-reported outcomes and monthly clinical visits with coarse resolution. In contrast, this type of digital biomarkers, such as listener effort, offer accurate, unbiased, frequent, low-cost assessments via mobile apps or even at-home tests. We are very happy with the findings of listener effort, and looking into the future and their further progress, we have cross-validated this model using a completely new external dataset. SLPs scored other audio dataset, generating, again, high-quality labels, and the model that was trained only on our speech study could reproduce the ratings of the SLPs, not seeing these other data. This is a very strong result from the machine learning perspective, and we were not expecting these models to work this well, this easily. So our model could effectively predict trajectories of listener effort, closely matching the observed data, demonstrating its robustness and reliability across different datasets. We have also made significant improvements to the SLP's onboarding platform and the standard calibration practices for rating sessions, aiming to improve and scale our strategy. And we are also starting the expansion of this methodology to other languages, as Sylvia mentioned before. Finally, as we could find this great biomarker for speech, we aim to follow the same path with other vital functions. Our next steps are focusing on respiratory function and walking. Our Radcliffe study, in partnership with BMS, involves rich multimodal data, including gait and balance exercises, remote PFTs, spirometries, and speech tasks conducted both at rest and after doing the walking exercises. We have collected gait data using insoles with embedded microcontrollers, and we can compute temporal and spatial gait parameters, providing detailed insight into motor function. And although still very preliminary, we have already observed interesting data related to fatigue in foot movements during walking exercises. Regarding respiratory function, we collected high-quality remote data and successfully identified signal in these at-home, proctored, and also independent spirometry sessions. We started working together with expert pulmonologists to define the best strategy to approach the search for biomarkers of respiratory function, and our current goal is to develop speech-based biomarkers of respiratory health. Our data science team works with several incredible partners already mentioned: Dr. Ernest Frankel from MIT, Dr. James Berry from the MGH, Dr. Lyle Ostrow from Temple University, and we are all committed to creating digital biomarkers to help those affected by ALS. During this time, the EverythingALS community has collected high-quality datasets for research and brought together experts from different fields to leverage their potential. We have made great advances in the quest for a digital biomarker for speech, and we will continue moving forward with the rest of the vital functions involved in ALS. Our efforts in developing these biomarkers to accelerate clinical trials and ultimately drug discovery are just beginning, and we want to thank all the involved experts and researchers, but more importantly, all the community, again, for making these research projects possible. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, while we are at thanks to the data science team, And now turning over back to Indu doing the presentation drive. What's coming up now is an appetizer on what the rest of the crew has been up to. You move to the next slide. It's a bit of a ta-da, Indu.
Yes, ta-da. So we had our app that was used mainly in the research. Now we're opening it up to everybody in the community. And let's talk a little bit about what's in the app and how we're evolving it. And this was really a grant received by MT Pharma, and I thank the team there. And with the vision and with the software engineering team and our Pathfinders, we are unveiling it today. And with the release being available by end of the month, and that happens to my birthday as well. So, so let me just go through the Everything ALS app screens, and if you have any questions, we can actually take that. And also with that, we do have today Dr. Christina Fournier, who is actually here, joined us, and she will talk a little bit about how we've integrated her brainchild into the app as well. So with that, I'm going to just stop sharing this and bring up the app.
Thanks, Indu. So it's been very cool to work with this team and to hear the stories from everyone tonight. So this was really a simple concept. You know, in the ALS clinic, our neurologic exam is really important to us. It tells us a lot of information, but it's not something that we're using routinely to track progression, and we really saw that as a missed opportunity. So we then realized kind of during COVID, when we rapidly switched to telemedicine, that there's a lot we can check about motor movement just in the Zoom format. And even with just a simple video, we could really capture how our patients are doing in terms of motor movement in the bulbar region and their arms and legs, and get a good exam even remotely. And so the next iteration of that is with the Everything ALS team's help, they've actually designed an app where the app will kind of walk somebody with ALS through the motor exam, and they can self-score movements in a variety of muscle groups to track progression at home without the need of a clinician to walk them through it. And we really see this as being a tool that could be very valuable, both for tracking clinical progression, for research studies, a lot of cool potential, like maybe we could track certain things and they could predict clinical needs. If, you know, this parameter is abnormal, maybe we need to look out for falls, or if this parameter is abnormal, maybe we need to look at a speech generating device. And so we see this as being a really simple yet informative way to bring the tracking of kind of the most hallmark clinical feature of ALS to everyone's smartphone without the need to come into the clinic or be assessed by a clinician. And so very excited to roll this out and see what we're able to learn from it, and potentially to kind of improve the way we track progression for research and for the clinic.
Yeah. Thank you, Christina. And I'm going to run the app through here in a second. I think everybody can see my screen, I presume. I think you can see a lot of my screen, is it?
We can see it all.
You can see it all. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Got too many things. Give me a second here. Okay. So this is like our app. Let me go through. So the 4 components of our so what you see in that screen, as you see, Citizens Accelerating Cure for ALS, and also our research partners, which is the Open Innovation, and also, you know, Connecting Care to Cure. And what we have launched is Vision 2030, which is a research hub, which we'll talk a little bit more in our future, you know, connections here. And once you create your account and you log in, you get into once you create the account, you log in, and then you will get into the main part of the dashboard. And it's very easy to create the account. And once you have the account, this is what you will see is that, welcome to Everything ALS and what we are working on. And this is our dashboard. So when you see, this is kind of what we will, and we'll just very quickly walk you through different sections. This is the featured talks. As you see, a lot of people who've come in and spoken in our Everything ALS talk series, including Christina. And we will have all the video, and also we have chat with the AI. So you can actually click all of the videos here. It will be available for you to go through and watch it, or you can simply ask the chat with the AI, just summarize it for me. You can say, what did Dr. Locatelli, talk about how to slow down the progression? So you will get the narrative on the chat GPT. And when we say this AI, we have actually, taken off any external data that it can be used. It is only using the data that we have trained. So this is we've reduced any hallucination effect, as you've heard. So then you have upcoming events. So that's kind of the events. And if you go to the AI guide, again, you can ask any question from the expert talk series that we've had. You can say, what are the trials? What is the expanded access? What are the, all of the data that we've collected? You can ask questions and you will get quick answers. And again, the Vision 2030 is something, that is something that we have launched to really go deep into the science. And that is something that, we're very excited about launching that recently. And then we'll go a little bit into our research itself. As Sylvia talked about, all of the research that we do will be in one place. You will be able to see all of the research, and you can actually hit enroll and get into the study and join the study immediately. And then our team will get back to you. So that is about the research, and then you can actually be able to get all the information about different aspects of the study and create your information. And once you say complete enrollment, and that's when the information comes into our research portal, and we will get back to you immediately. And then, once you've enrolled, it shows that these are your enrollment. You've enrolled in the Radcliffe study. And if you go into the study specific, all of the data that you are contributing to that study will be available for you, your consent forms, your demographics. And then we'll go into the care log. And this is what Christina was talking about. Okay, this is the motor exam. And Christina, if you can talk a little bit more about how you've designed it and why we have all of the 41 here we can go through. And the goal here is to go through different aspects of the motor exam.
Yeah, and this really was based on our clinical exam that we would do, both in person in the ALS clinic and then by telemedicine exam as well. So it allows us to check, there are other measures of strength that are used, but not really that kind of comprehensively check motor strength throughout the body and muscles that are typically affected by ALS. And so it allows us to assess kind of the full body exam, but in a really simple way, just with a variety of tasks. For each one, it gives kind of a written description and then demonstrates the task with these cool animations that the Everything ALS team did. And when we did this by telemedicine, it would take maybe 5 to 8 minutes. I expect it's even quicker on the phone based on not having to troubleshoot Zoom and things like that. So it's a lot of items, but I think it provides a lot of information in a very short assessment. And you can kind of simple through it. It kind of goes from head to toe and demonstrates the task, and then someone can self-score.
It's a good workout if you actually simulate it. We've tested it. Thank you so much, Christina. Really appreciate it and really enjoyed co-working together on this. We have another module that will be presented soon in this app. which is of much importance and enjoyment, it's nutrition. And on that factor, turning over to my colleague Natalia, while Indio's going back to the slide deck to give us a little bit more of an appetizer around that.
Perfect.
Yes, we're very excited about this potential nutrition tool and hope that it will be also really important for both research and care. We hope to track nutrition and investigate its potential link to inflammation. So next slide, please. So some of you might remember, and a few weeks ago, we asked you to complete 4-question survey to find out if you're interested to learn more about nutrition and if you're interested to track your diet. And from your feedback, we learned, and thank you again for all your participation, we received over 150 responses in just 4 days. And as you can see on this slide, most of you were very interested in tracking your diet and interested in tracking the food you eat. We're interested in using an app to help you to monitor your diet, and potentially interested in joining a study where we can explore effects of a diet on disease progression. So based on that input, next slide, please. We are working to integrate the nutrition AI model to meet your needs, which will help you to use AI and use the app as a food diary and potentially to help you to develop meal plans as well. Next slide. So we hope that with help of AI and your phone, you will be able just to scan the food on your plate for 10-20 seconds, and it will help you to track the food and identify the food through specific visualization algorithms. It would help you to estimate the amount of food as well and calculate and track different macro and micronutrients, but also calculate the dietary inflammatory index as well. And with that, research shows that the diet can potentially impact ALS progression by potentially increasing anti-inflammatory or antioxidant-rich foods, which can affect the oxidative stress. And unfortunately, the scientific research in this area still shows conflicting results because of the complex and manual data collection and small data sets. So we really hope that with the app, we can achieve the really easy and the convenient way to measure your dietary patterns and also estimate the food-related inflammation. And that way we can try to look at the connection between the dietary patterns and the disease progression, and hopefully help to manage the disease that way. So yeah, we hope that you will be excited by this model as well and will participate when that will be launched.
And for the record, not just for anybody who is related to ALS, neuroinflammation is good to detect for all of us. So now moving on to what we call a little bit our blue sky efforts, because getting, all of these tools ready to be released basically means at the same time we already have to look a lot further. And the next one that we're going to introduce you to is a project we call Avatar. And this one, we're now also involving our remaining group, the student ambassadors. I mean, what else than avatars could be fitting for them? So let me explain a little bit what the Avatar project is about and why we actually called it that. So in our line of work, right, we interact a lot with all the stakeholders in this ALS ecosystem, and we pick up on a lot of unmet needs And because we're on those crossroads, we then get to connect dots when nobody else sees dots. And the dots that we've observed, in particular with PALS, the asymptomatic gene carriers for ALS, but also caregivers, is this notion around having no voice. For starters, nobody really listens to my personal disease story, or verbatim, there is a loss of bulbar function. Or even more bigger, thinking about this way, it's a rare disease, but globally looking at it, it's actually really not. It's a quite big global community, but it's impossible to reach. On the other hand, we have a stakeholder that is pharma and other supporting industries that, for a lot of good, but also unfortunate reasons, are limited in access to patients to actually, when they plan clinical trials, to get a lot more context, experience context, but also guidance from patients. Give you an example. For example, they would need to know, how does a certain ethnicity or geography of PALS make decisions on clinical trial selection? It's almost impossible to find out for them. And the backup is, and a lot of you have experienced that, they invite maybe 1 or 2 PALS, which is of huge value because nothing is better than the actual representation of the expert. But it doesn't go at scale. It's not easy. It doesn't, it's not available at any given time. The last group is actually, quite frankly, ourselves. It's research and academia. So we see a lot, when we hear those stories, we're thinking a lot of the experience part that you're telling us about could actually help maybe in categorizing the phenotypes, the subgroups of ALS, but nobody is really collecting that. And then the same thing with us starting, a huge clinical trial potentially by the end of the year in 15 other countries. How do we reach out? How do we learn about ALS in other countries and citizen-driven research organizations from that angle? So let me tell you a little bit how this is supposed to come about. What we've been thinking is creating the collective PALS voice, the avatar. It starts, however, out with, if you look at the top left corner, in asking PALS, caregivers, and asymptomatic carriers to provide their story. And that would be facilitated via a questionnaire interviewed from the EverythingALS platform. It would feed into that collective avatar, right? And an avatar, by definition, is the digital representation of a person. In this case, it's the digital representation of a collective. This AI then can filter the blinded response, although in your real voices, back to questions that might come from industry and pharma quite easily. That same effort of you giving us your story with a little bit of guidance from our end can then feed, which you see on the right side, into what we will call as a new feature within our app, My PALS. It's a little bit a mixture between a Find Friends app and a LinkedIn experience. Let me just leave it at that. So that sounds all very theoretical, but there's a real, right? What does it really look and feel like? So how do you get started on it? Well, for those of you who can no longer speak, because that is very important, we will provide entry via our website. So you will have basically the questionnaire and the interview guide. You can find it there. We will also offer, for those who are no longer able to speak, a translation into voice AI of your voice, basically recreation for this particular interview. The other entryway would be through our app, where you can then verbally record and follow those interviews and guides and questionnaire. So step by step, a little bit just flavor to the story. You would select the feature. Obviously, because it deals a little bit with deeper demographics than signing on to a app, you would go through a consent. It's for both My Story and My PALS, and you would give us a little bit more detail, as we said, ethnicity, probably age, again, HIPAA controlled, but enough to actually feed back to this whole question scenario and finding like-minded PALS. And then you would actually create your avatar. And as you see, we test drove it with Indu. You would take a photo And then you would get to see what the AI thinks you look like as an avatar. And that, again, is something that we're still experimenting with. From then you move on to my voice. And basically you've built up your profile. Now you get to tell your story. You don't have to do it at once. You can just go through the segments that are a little bit guided, but it's really about you, how you want to tell it. This material then is going to move on to my pals, because now we've heard, what is your disease progression like? What is your experience like? And you can select, do I want to connect with somebody in the US or in my state, or do I want to do it globally? What other parameters do I want to look for? And then my pals can give you recommendations with who has the same questions, who's on the same search. Man, you're fast. I'm catching up here. Long story short, this will be on top of it, though, protected by something similar to LinkedIn. If any of you have ever been on that website, it's not a direct connection. You will be protected through our portal, through our app, until you decide with whom exactly you want to connect and communicate. All right, that was an important information for HIPAA. Now, closing out. Obviously, this avatar will not develop in a silo for you. It will be designed with you. So look out for our student ambassadors to reach out with surveys, interviews, and to get us rolling, because we're not the experts. You are. Thank you. And turning over now to the last section item, which is represented by Christian, which is about what the heck are they doing for community reach out?
And before that, I do want to just quickly say, in the app, we have our Pathfinders, right? And the Pathfinders will be actually connected to through the app as well. So each one of the Pathfinders you met, you will be able to connect with them through the app. So, and again, that will be available July 31st. Yeah, go ahead.
Christian, you're it as soon as she gives you the visual.
Yes. As soon as you're ready, but I can speak to it in the meantime. None of this is done in a vacuum. It's one community, regardless of how many organizations there are working on different initiatives. And we're really proud to partner with a lot of organizations and keep progress going, keep it done openly and collaboratively throughout. So over the last few months, some of the important updates of where we've been participating and bringing our strengths and listening to our peers as well. Some of the announcements that were really important were Indu joined as a founding member, the Implantable Brain Computer Interface collaborative community, which really is a great mix of academics who are leading a lot of research on this front, as well as advocacy leaders and patient pals and caregivers as well, to continue the advancements in this. And of course, we're looking at this in a way of keeping everybody connected and keeping people at any stage of progression communicating and still connected to their loved ones and to their world. That'll be a continuous. And Indy, if there's anything you want to say about that initiative in terms of what's coming next, please, as you are on the steering committee.
I think the FDA has joined that as well, and it's to commercialize things, to go from being in the lab to how do we make it available for people.
Excellent, thank you. I representing the organization, I was at More Than Our Stories in DC, of course, in the springtime, which was a great roundtable day with leaders from around the community, as well as some folks here like Lynn and others who were there to really kind of make sure that any of the policy initiatives and the different kind of approaches that different organizations are taking really are rooted in people's lived experiences every day. That we are more than just individual stories that get told at Congress or FDA at a certain opportune times, but are really having a voice in the different initiatives going on. It was a very collaborative day, and from our perspective, we don't get heavily involved in policy and regulatory matters at large, but we do expect everybody to really help us carry this message forward on behalf of the community about the critical importance to health equity and to access to care, first diagnostics, then care, and also research that digital health technologies pose. And that we really want to make sure that that's one of the pillars that we stand by in Congress and at the FDA. we want to make sure that there's a clear pathway for companies that are trying to design more accessible trials to have those incentives there to keep these trial endpoints not just be experiments within trials, but really be captured and validated as secondary endpoints for their studies. Going beyond that, at the FNIH, we were there, Indu and I were both there, meeting with, of course, the FDA, with members of FNIH as well. We have joined the AMP-ALS committee as part of demonstrating kind of a certain specific area of thought leadership in which we are performing an advisory role on their studies that they are designing the protocols in, specifically around making sure that digital health technologies are implemented. Our goal is to make sure that it's not a one and done of like, just pick the right sensor and go, that we really design these protocols and design our studies that are government funded for people by, really for PALs to be able to participate from anywhere. So we're really passionate about that. We're going to continue to stay involved in that. In May, during ALS Awareness Month, we had a great day. Again, Indu and I were lucky enough to really had a great day of meeting Jim Cramer, being on Mad Money, and Jim and his staff were unbelievably generous in their time and effort to help us really talk about what's coming in ALS and in neurodegeneration in general, which is at the core of Vision 2030, which is moving more towards specifically AI-driven solutions, more acceleration of a variety of different therapies as we get to the more root cause of ALS, and understanding that there are subtypes and subpopulations, that there's going to be ample market for a lot of companies to continue to invest, and that was the goal there. At the FDA meeting with the FNIH in June, Indu had some great presentations, was on several panels throughout the day that not only was on the topic of ALS, but also Parkinson's and some other diseases where digital health technologies are being implemented. I think it was actually really meaningful to have a Parkinson's patient who's an advocate and running his own study really kind of publicly say, if you're familiar with our Radcliffe study and the fact that you get an at-home kit that arrives to your door to be able to participate, he goes, "Where's my kit? Why don't we have this in Parkinson's?" And it was really meaningful for us to be able to say that we're through citizen-driven research, we're hearing you, we know what we need to do to make these studies more accessible to you, and that the rest of the community is listening and looking for examples from us. So it was great to be a part of that. Now, looking ahead through the rest of the year, we have some really important events coming up. We have our own Homegrown Digital Endpoints and Biomarkers Summit in August. That is a kind of a workshop day with our industry consortium. It also does include a number of PALs who will be joining as kind of mentors to them as they break out into work streams to really dig deep into what are the pathways that they need to unblock with us as a unified consortium, and what is most important. Those priorities are going to be largely defined by the mentors who are there, who are a combination of PALs and clinicians. So it's a great open conversation between them, and we will read out very shortly after what comes of that and what will be our next 12-month plan for the organization with very achievable milestones. We'll also be at NEALS, where we'll be with Christina and other great collaborators. And AI and digital health technologies are going to be a big theme this year. So we're really excited to lead a lot of conversations there. And of course, in true partnership, we'll be there again this year for the Neurotech Day that ALS One is putting together as part of their conference in November. And we'll be out there doing what we got to do to continue to advance DHTs and digital health technologies and advance the work we're doing together with you at the World ALS M&D meeting in December, along with the Motor Neuron Disease Association's meetings. It's a whole week long of different types of meetings, from patient advocacy to clinician meetings and medical education and industry sessions at the end, and we'll be there throughout. So it's a pleasure to do all this work on your behalf, and we are certainly proud to be carrying your message forward.
And we have some questions that came up, and can we ask the questions, Christian?
Absolutely. So the first question goes back to, the first couple questions go back to the presentation that Julian gave. So first question is are there any statistics on the prevalence or correlation with presence of stenosis in ALS?
I'm not familiar with that, unluckily, unfortunately. Sorry about that.
No problem. It'll be, we'll take note of that as an ongoing topic to potentially explore with our studies.
The second question is, are speech samples collected before riluzole and then on riluzole?
Riluzole and non-riluzole. Just wanted to let you know, yeah, we do not collect the data, and it's that was not the purpose of the study. But when we have like thousands of participants and a lot of data points, we realize that it won't be a big impact. So that was not something that we studied.
The next question was, if the predictor of speech decline can be predicted accurately with the model that Julian described, what's the biggest benefit you can see that can be made from that? And I think
the benefit of the digital biomarker for people living with ALS is mediated. It impacts the clinical trial process, and it accelerates clinical trials. Right now, using ALS-FRSR as a mesh, clinical trials of drugs and treatments use ALS-FRSR as the endpoint, where the efficacy of the treatment is measured using ALS-FRSR. And it has a lot of problems. It's biased, it's
how are you?
Not granular, and so on. So having these type of measures that are not expensive, that are reproducible, objective, fine-grained, good impact, the power, the statistical power of clinical trials, and therefore would accelerate drug discovery.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I think, and to go further with it, it really, as useful as they are for trial design and for more precise trials that can help subpopulations as we understand them, the subpopulations have to be defined too. So these biomarkers can be used as they get validated and as they get really, really reliable, and the clinicians that we're working with want to start using them in practice. It helps them make decision points that will be more precise and more personalized for people's journeys depending on how they progress. And even earlier, they can actually help diagnose people earlier with certain subtypes. So this is work that carries throughout the entire ALS span of your journey, and we'll continue to try and refine this along with the other components of the ALS FRS. So thanks, Julian.
Our next question is regarding our app, specifically regarding how to participate or register in the motor movement study. It's been answered in the chat, but I just wanted to mention that our app will be published or live, available for download July 31st. And then that's both on iOS and Android, correct?
Yes.
All right. And then the next question we have is, do you need healthy controls for any of the components in the app?
Yes, they're absolutely welcome.
Yeah. Yes.
So this would be a great opportunity for a caregiver to do it with their loved one as well. We have another question, which is, if I can't manipulate a cell phone, will these also be available in the eye gaze computer compatible format?
So right now we have it on the app, but we can make it available on the computer. So it's good to know that, a lot more people want that. So we will take that as our roadmap. Thanks, Lynn.
We have another question here about specifically do any of the Walls or Bradenson protocols work for ALS? Honestly, I think I'm not sure if we're prepared to address that today, Indu, or.
Yeah, so August 21st, Dr. Wall will be actually coming and speaking at the Wednesday event. So absolutely, I think we are looking at Wall's protocol, but we're also working with some of the nutritionists in ALS who have actually been studying. So the goal is to look at neuroinflammation. Yeah, I think that's what Dr. Walls actually focuses on as well for MS.
And if there are any other questions, now's a good time. I know we went over with the presentation, but we have a few minutes here for any final couple of questions about really any component of the presentation.
Awesome.
Well, we look forward to having everybody be volunteers and to be able to work with the app and really make the most of it. And of course, give us feedback throughout. These are apps that we release, but are constantly refining.
Yeah. And so has Everything ALS explored the AI microbiome healing test from Viome is utilizing? We talked to Viome about it. They're not really focused on ALS, really didn't have a deep profiling in that. So they've changed. This was about a year and a half ago when we talked to them, but we have not talked to them since then.
And, I did see a comment about QR codes and using PC. Thank you for that, Paul. We are exploring desktop experiences on a couple of different fronts. So we'll take note of that. And Lynn, thank you as always for being such a great resource to the group as well. All right.
Yeah. Thank you
work
very
on
much.
It's a very robust app. That looks awesome. Very, very well, very professional looking. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say I'm as good as my team, so they work really around the clock. I'm not kidding. It's just, this is probably the best team I've worked with in a lot of companies I've built because it comes from the heart. Everybody is really leading with their heart first. It's not any other motivation. So I just enjoy working with this team and all of you guys. So thank you. Thank you, Sean, for everything. And all the Pathfinders will be on the app. So you can actually send a message through the Pathfinders on the app. So
please realize that there are people out there who are just like you, but they have different experiences and they have different helpers, and their problems usually get solved one way or another. And by us coming together, we need to share all of the good things that we found and all of the troubles that we've come upon. But I'd like to say to you folks, the Pathfinder group is a group of people who are dedicated to listening to you, to your heart, to your mind, to what's going on in your body, whatever might be happening in your life. The Pathfinders are here to speak with you about it. To have somebody, a person just the other day said, "Is that like a pen pal?" And I said, "Yeah, that's a pal's pal." And so, we have pals, and you can be a pals also. We just started our group, and we have 9 Pathfinders so far, but we'd like to have hundreds of Pathfinders because we have thousands of people who would like to chat with them. So if any of you feel like you would like to send me an email, mcfinn@EverythingALS, and chat a little bit about this little logo I have here. And that little logo has 2 hands on it. And the reason it has those hands there is because hands-on experience is the only way to go. And each one of you has had your hands-on experience. And I am so proud to say, come aboard and help the rest of us. One of the Pathfinders, his name is Joe, he always said to me, "McFinn, what are we really about?" And he said, "I have an idea. I think we're about making ways on the path that we understand, and then we turn around and we offer our hand to all of those who are coming behind us." And so that's the essence of a Pathfinder. Now, folks, we have 4 minutes left to spend together. Do you know what can happen in 4 minutes? Amazing things could come right out of your mouth. Is there anybody who would like to have a few moments to share something that they feel really good about or not so good about? Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes silence is golden because it makes me feel like you're really well taken care of. But I think that there's things that are happening in your life that maybe tomorrow you'll think about, and that you could send me an email at mcfinn@everythingals, and we could talk about it. And then we could see if you match up with one of our Pathfinders. Because once you find somebody who you feel understands your situation, I think it'll make you feel calmer, because we need people who understand what ALS is all about. And there's nobody better than each one of you. Folks, Indu, the whole team has really put their lives on the line.
Yeah.
In fact, last night before I went to bed, I had to separate a little bit from everything ALS and then walk into my bedroom and say, McFinn, you need to go to sleep. Because believe it or not, you're on our mind constantly, because we have started this progress and we want to see it to the end. And the end is when you don't need your breathing machine anymore. You don't need your walker. These are all possible endpoints, and we are looking for them for you. But we need you to look for them too, because you know what? You're really a big part of the team. Without you, we wouldn't be here. And without you, we wouldn't be able to do our little our big science projects, because they're making a real difference. So if you do have time and you'd like to share it with the world, that's what you're doing. Anytime you go into one of these trials or one of these experiments or one of these programs, it can affect the whole world one day. So don't think that we're small, because we think big at Everything ALS. It's the only way that we're going to get this solved. So thank you all for being with us tonight. Thank you for being with yourself and being kind to yourself. And remember, the person who loves you most is looking at you in the mirror. So visit the mirror quite often and say, hi there. Are we in this together? I think so. And with that, you know, one of the most fun times of the day is me seeing Eddie smile. It's me seeing Joe Redmond smile. It's like Michael Thayer, Gary. It's all, you know, Ken DeWorkin. Ken, I saw that. Yeah, look at that grin you got going on there, my friend. This is called homemade medicine. When we can smile about our situation, or if we can smile to another person, all it does is enhance our immune system. So be positive. And if you have problems doing that, we have a Pathfinder that can help you through it. So we look forward to hearing from each of you for whatever you might need, because that's why we're here. So folks, another Indu, come aboard.
Yes, so somebody asked about the security. How do you do your data security? So we are completely on Amazon Cloud Services, and we use HIPAA compliant cloud infrastructure, and making sure that any data that is shared is all de-identified, and we put that into a different bucket. So they're different buckets. So we have all the mechanism to make sure that, you know, it's separated. So any data that we share is completely de-identified. And so it's also, you know, in the HIPAA compliant cloud.
We had one last chat from Michael, and I wish I had access to Medline account. Do we know anything about that?
Looking up.
Do you mean the supply chain or the research, like the research library access?
What do you think? Research.
We can take that. We'll take that into consideration and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You know, folks, your questions are golden. Thank you for giving them to us. And it's just about that time when we get to say goodnight to each other. And you know, if you could just pick out somebody who you saw tonight that you want to throw a big smile to, like I want to Brian Kelly, because Brian, so good to see you here. Folks, there you got it. You know, these little, one time my friend, I said goodnight to him, and he said, I can't talk. And he put up the little heart. And so, hearts to each of you. And let's start with that voice or heart and good nights. So, good night, Michael Thayer.
Good night, Joe and Sean.
Good night, everybody. See you next time.
Good night, Indu.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Night.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Good night, Kristen. Good night, Eddie.
You guys are so amazing. So thank you.
Eric.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Great to meet you all.
Yes,
Same
thank
here.
you.
Kathleen.
Thanks,
Kathleen,
Janie,
thank
for
you.
being here this evening.
Bye.
Yes,
And
Jane.
Debbie.
Warriors.
Jeannie, I owe you a
Good
reply. We'll get
Debbie
that.
and Jim and Paulette. Thank you, Paulette. I love that. I'm going to
It's the
practice.
heart.
what you teach
Heart,
me.
everybody.
Yeah, the heart. Thank you.
All right,
Done.
good job.
Pretty good. Oh, come here.
Thanks for joining, Eric. Good to see you.
Thanks, John.
Say goodbye.
All right.
Here we go.
Sure.
Oh, that's amazing, Faith.
Right. I'll try. Thank you, my
Some
friend.
smiles.
Student
Okay.
ambassadors.